I want to talk about today when tragedy strikes your community, when there is an understanding of a collective grief. There's a grief that doesn't belong to just one person. It belongs to us all. It's not just felt in one household or by one family. It's a grief that echoes down the street, through the churches, inside the schools, and across the dinner tables. It's the kind of grief that happens when tragedy strikes. When a child dies, a natural disaster hits the town, when there's an accident that changes everything, when a violent act shatters the peace of the town, the peace of the neighborhood, these moments create ripples that reach far beyond the immediate family. They land in the hearts of the classmates, the neighbors, the teachers, the business owners, the faith leaders. Even the strangers will ask you how you're doing. Even the strangers will check in on you because they see it on your face. When I tell you the entire community is going to grieve, I am not over exaggerating it. There is a heaviness, a blanket that lays over the community, and every person grabs hold of one piece of that blanket and they hold it as tight as they can. This is the collective grief, and it is real, and it's overwhelming, and it goes unspoken for days, weeks, and months. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happens when the entire community hurts, what it looks like when your grief becomes public, because that's what happens. It bursts through the seams of the homes. When we are mourning together, it becomes shared mourning, and the silence fills the spaces that once felt safe. You're walking through the stores. I'm telling you, you're walking through the stores, and everybody can see it on your face, and you can see it on everyone else's face. Because when tragedy strikes, when the unthinkable happens, grief doesn't stay away. It doesn't stay away in the home. It doesn't stay away from each and every person's home. It doesn't stay in the home of the person who lost the most. It moves, it spreads. And we are all asked to hold it. We are all asked to hold it. I want to walk with you and talk with you about what I've seen in the community as a grief specialist and as someone who has lived through these moments myself. Number one, I lived in California when the Saga shooting took place. I lived in California when the Route 66 shooting took place in Las Vegas. There were many, many people in my community that were up in Las Vegas at the Jason Aldean concert. There was a heaviness that came over the town. The second thing we were hit with was the Saga shooting. The community doesn't know what to do, and so they try to fill in the space of the grief with as much as they can. Community outreaches. We had candle lighting ceremonies. We had parades. We had walks. We had quiet moments. We got together as a community. We did question and answer sessions where we actually did talked to one another. Because we showed up as a community, because we were hurting. We were hurting. We were a collective people of painful grievers. When my nephew Austin died, think about this. Austin died. All of the kids in his classroom, all 30 kids, were grieving. All of their parents were grieving. The parents of the students that were in his classroom were struck with grief. The siblings of the kids that were in his classroom were struck with grief. The local church leaders were struck with grief. The teachers, the principal, the other classmates that knew Austin from the other class were struck with grief. Think about that just at the school. The school nurse. Then the school nurse shared the story with her husband. The school nurse's child went to the school. She knew Austin. The yard duty knew Austin. The lunch ladies knew Austin. That's just the grief from the school. Then on top of that, you have Erica has, there's a group of 5 of us, the siblings, 1 brother, 4 girls. Each one of us had our own friends that knew Austin. Each one of us had our own children, our spouse. And then my parents. My parents were pillars of the community, very involved in the church. Everyone from their church who knew them, everyone from my church, friends. And we lived in, when Austin died, we lived in a very large city. But it rippled across the city just through our family. The grief didn't just stay in our home. It didn't just stay in Erica and Lewis's home. Erica and Lewis's neighbors were well known throughout the community. They had both lived in that home for over 50 years. They were pillars of the community. That the grief sped through their family. When Austin died, my dad estimated there were over 800 people at his funeral. The grief didn't just stop with us. His friends at school, their parents, his teachers, our families at church were all impacted. They were all shocked. They were all grieving. They were all grieving too. Every mother that heard the story held her breath, could not imagine what this felt like for Eric and Lewis. Could not imagine what it felt like to have your 10-year-old child die tragically on Father's Day weekend. It took your breath away. You didn't know how to express it. You didn't know how to come to Erica and Lewis and help them. So people started to show up. Why? Because community grief is complicated. It's complicated. They don't know what to do. They think you are broken. They think it's their job to fix you. They think if you feel even 1 pound of what they're feeling, you've got to be feeling awful. They can't even begin to imagine what you're feeling like, but they want to do something. Sometimes people don't know what to do. And so people started showing up, which was amazing. But it was also a sign to us that the community was very hurt. They were very broken. Sometimes people in the community don't feel like they have the right to grieve. Well, I really didn't know him that well. He did live 8 houses down. Well, it wasn't my child. Well, he's just my neighbor. We have the word just in. He's just my neighbor. And the silence in the community starts to grow. Most of the people in the community will have pain just out of respect. They will deny their pain, or they will allow their pain to be there. When someone you love die, when someone you saw walk to school every day, someone you cared about, someone you knew about, you will feel it, and it changes you. And so people didn't know what to do, and so they started showing up. They found out where Eric and Lewis lived, and they started showing up. And they would bring the ham. They brought the potato salad. Even if the connection was small, they showed up. And even if your connection is small, your grief is valid. I've seen entire communities move in shock together. After the Jason Aldean concert, there were many, many people in my community. Even my cousin had attended. I had a personal friend who got shot. I met so many people because there were so many community outreaches, and people were asking me from different churches if I would just attend, if I would come and speak, if I would share what it was like. Streets started to fall quiet. Small towns will cancel sporting events. They cancel festivals because no one can think of celebrating at this time. There may be a need to do GoFundMe's. Maybe one family lost 6 members. Maybe one family lost their child and they can't afford to pay for the funeral services. Everybody wants to know what they can do. I've seen teachers break down in classrooms. Store owners hang black ribbons on their doors. I was out walking this morning. I walk every morning. I've already seen ribbons on the trees. I've seen friends organize candlelight visuals, balloon releases, fundraisers, because they want to do something and they don't know what to do. But first thing I want you guys to do is admit that you too are grieving. You're grieving the loss for your community. Maybe you didn't know anyone that died in this tragedy, but you hurt for your community. It's okay. You have the right to grieve. Grief asks a lot of us. One, it demands to be felt, and it asks a lot of your community. It will ask even more for the community because you're the one that is holding onto the blanket that is covering up the community. Everyone is trying to be strong, and you will never be able to be strong enough. Be real, my friends. The pastor's trying to be strong for the church. The teacher's trying to be strong for the kids in the classroom. The parents are trying to be strong for their children. Everyone's trying to be strong, but I'm telling you, you cannot be strong enough. Be honest. This hurts. I'm broken. I can't imagine what this mother is feeling right now. I'm going to go to all the community outreaches. I'm going to do all the things. And Lord have mercy if you've got one of the things they need is they need their backyard cleaned up. I think that's the best kind of community outreach there can be because as a community, we get to come together and we get to pick up dirt. We get to touch something, feel something, do something. When a tragedy hits, the community often goes into action mode. We cook meals. We send flowers. We set up the GoFundMe pages. We build memorials. We post on Facebook. And all of that is beautiful. It all is. And it all needs to be done. And that's not what I'm saying. I think you need to do it. As a community, we need to do it. That's us showing our love. And we have to do that. But remember, you are not only showing your love, you're also keeping busy. You're keeping busy instead of feeling the weight of what has just happened. What happens after the funeral, after the cameras go away, after the news cycle moves on, which is like that, they have to go back into that house. Their front door closes. They have to walk past their child's room every day. And that's when the silent screams start. I agree. Number one, this is what I want you to know, that we grieve as a community. We need to allow ourselves space to grieve it as a community. Not just the family, not just the people who are on the front lines of the loss. Everyone that was touched deserves room to breathe, to cry, to talk, and remember. But remember, their grief is not going to really start, until about 3 weeks after the loss. So many times I get grievers that will reach out to me at the 2-week mark even at the 3-week mark. And it is when the silence begins that the real grief starts to come up. When no one is talking about it anymore, no one's asking about it anymore, no one's checking in. They are all, listen to me, they're all going to get the community outreach and the love and the family members. One of the most powerful things that we can do as a community is come together for love. Not just for the memorial, not just for the GoFundMe, not just for the candle lighting ceremony, not just for the 10 church services, but for the afterward. A week later, a month later, at the 6-month milestone, at the 1-year anniversary. Not for the performance, but for the connection, for the love. We have to keep showing up as a community for the parents, for the siblings, for the grandmother, for the father, for the little baby sister. We keep showing up. My heart goes out to every community because what happens in the community is everyone's head starts to spin. Everyone's head starts to spin. And so we're trying to fill the space of the pain. We want to fill the space of this pain. Sorry, maybe you're the best friend. Maybe you're the best friend of someone who lost their child. Maybe you're the store grocer. Maybe you're the clerk in the grocery store that always smiled at those kids. Maybe you're the firefighter who didn't get a chance to save them. Maybe you're someone in the town who's walking around with a lump in your throat with no idea how to process this. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you, the ones that feel helpless in times like this. Number one, you're grieving. You are grieving. You're grieving the loss for your community. You're not wrong for grieving. And you're not alone. Your body knows that something terrible has happened. Your heart remembers. And if you push it down, it's not going to go away. It turns into something else. It turns into something of exhaustion, resentment, anxiety, or disconnection. You are grieving. We were lied to, and we were never taught how to grieve. We were never taught how to grieve. So how do you think we were taught how to grieve together? Friends, it is going to be extremely important for us to show up as a community after the service. Number one, we need to acknowledge that we're grieving. We need to say it out loud. This is a loss for all of us without comparison. This is a loss for all of us without comparing it to the mother and father. I grieve. I grieve for you, mom and dad. I grieve for you, grandma and grandpa. I grieve for you, brothers and sisters. I grieve for the town. I grieve for the city. I grieve for the safety that we once had. The safe spaces. Rooms where people come together and gather without pressure. I grieve for the places where we used to be where no one was trying to fix us or explain it. They were just trying to hold the space for us. Friends, there's so many things I want to say in this short time of this podcast. But most importantly, I want you to know it's okay to do the rituals. It's okay to do the candle lighting. It's okay to ring the bell. It's okay to share a meal. It's okay to release anything into the sky. But remember, they're going to need you way past those rituals, way past the funeral. Remember to keep checking in on them. Check in on them. Ask them about the grief. How's the grief going? How goes the battle? my friend Julie. How goes the grief battle? Hey, I want to let you know I was thinking about Susie today. Say their person's name. Hit the grief head on. I was thinking about you today and I started to cry. You have permission to cry. Cry in front of them. It is going to go so fast that people are going to stop mentioning their child's name. You need to go first as a community leader. You need to go first as the neighbor who's down the street. Name the pain. Tell them you feel sad. Tell them you feel broken. Make room for healing. Yes, this needs time. I don't know how much time. Every community is different. Community grief will not end with the funeral. It will linger. It resurfaces and it echoes. Because here's the thing about community grief. It also brings people together like nothing else can. And the love you feel in the room is so overwhelming. The attention you get as a community is so overwhelming. I've seen neighbors who haven't spoken in years hug each other. I've seen classrooms become sanctuaries. I've seen strangers hug in silence because no words were needed. I've seen strangers become best friends. Grief breaks us open like nothing else, and we have to let it. If you're part of a community that's hurting, I want you to know this. You cannot be strong enough every minute of the day, every minute of the day, every day after day. And one of the things I want to say is please, I beg of you, stop making the community strong signs. We are not Saugus strong. We're not Route 66 strong. We're not Texas strong. We're Texas together. We are Route 66 together. We are Saugus strong together. Because when we say we are strong, we're actually telling kids that they have to be strong. And we are telling the families they have to show up as strong. And so they show up to every community outbreak as strong because that's what we're telling them. And there's no way in hell you can be this strong. There's no way as the family who has lost a child that you can be strong enough to carry the community's grief. You have to be real. You have to be honest. And we can't keep pretending like we're okay because we're not. We are together as a community of grievers. Let's sit in it together. Let's allow our community to be in this space, in this place for real healing. Not pretending like nothing happened, not walking by and not speaking to anyone, but with open hearts, with honest words and shared tears. When tragedy strikes a community, grief moves in like a fog, and it is heavy. It is heavy, and we don't know how to get it to move. But with light, with truth, with love, we can move forward together. Thank you, friends. Thank you, friends, for allowing me to be here. We will heal together as a community. So honored to be here. My name is Sharon Brubaker, and I'm the grief specialist. Thank you, friends.